Reporter. Well, of course, over the election period, we get used to politicians trying to track us down as they canvass their potential voters. Next tonight, we're going to meet the campaigner from Quintrell Downs who has been on their trail. David Allkins, who has Asperger's syndrome and works for the national disability charity United Response, is currently on the beat trying to connect with local candidates ahead of the election. The charity wants to make politics easier to understand for the 1.5 million people with learning disabilities in the UK and encourage more people with learning disabilities to get involved, take an interest and vote. David is in the studio now along with John Cooper, who is the United Response campaign manager. Good evening to you both.
Good evening. Good evening.
So, David, what's the message you're trying to get across when you meet the candidates?
It's the simple one of the United Response campaign. Every vote counts, including the votes of people with learning disabilities or physical disabilities who in the past they've been sidelined a lot, but with this election we're working to make sure that everybody has access to easy read versions of the manifestos. And we spoke to the returning officer for Cornwall this afternoon, and he said that all the staff have been in the returning offices, voting offices, have been trained to handle questions from people and to make the area easily accessible.
Well, in a moment we're going to talk to John about the figures about the number of people with learning disabilities who are voting, but let's just take a break for travel a moment.
Travel news. BBC Radio Cornwall.
We've got David Allkins from Quintrell Downs. He is a professional interviewer and campaign, the political correspondent with the United Response campaign, and the campaign manager is John Cooper. We were just talking about the barriers really for people with learning disabilities, other forms of disabilities from voting. You've got the figures as to how many actually turned out last time, haven't you?
That's right. Among people that we support, we found that only 1 in 3 people voted, and that's opposed to 65.1% of the general population who voted at the last election, so that's almost half. So we didn't think that was good enough, and that's why David and I have been campaigning so hard in order to break down those barriers. And we found there are 2 barriers to people with learning disabilities voting. The first one is a lack of accessible information in the easy read format that David was talking about, but also a lack of understanding among politicians and candidates themselves. And David's done a fantastic job of raising awareness about this issue. He's had messages of support from all 5 of the main party political leaders, culminating today in a video message of support from David Cameron, the Prime Minister.
That's pretty impressive. And what do you feel, David, that you've learned from meeting all of these politicians?
What I've learned mostly is that I think they all want to get their message across in their own way. So if you just tell them that, the election's going to be tight this year, there's a whole slice of people who have valid concerns and want to be listened to, then they start paying attention.
And what about people that you meet with learning disabilities? How difficult is it for you to persuade them they should really take notice and get involved?
I think there's lots, because politics tends to be regarded as something you're supposed to instantly know everything about, as opposed to something where you actually need to have it explained. And if you look at news, it's often assumed you're going to know instantly who this person is, what this office of government does, what this department does. But it isn't like that. That's one reason that people get put off from politics. I mean, there has been a steady sense of politicians being of a class apart from us. Well, politicians are becoming more diverse. That's still a very powerful image that many people have. But I think that one's slowly, gradually fading.
Well, that's brilliant news, and thank you so much for coming in. You're continuing your campaign tomorrow, I believe, in Cornwall.
Yes, we have already interviewed the UKIP candidate, and Stephen Gilbert, the Lib Dem candidate, and tonight we'll be interviewing the Labour candidate, tomorrow we'll be interviewing the Conservative candidate, and then the Green candidate.
Okay, well, a busy man. Thank you so much for sparing us some time, both of you, John and David.
Thank you very much for having us on.
Thank
you very much.